We discuss all the latest striker news as this afternoon it has been announced. We have made an inquiry for Newcastle's Alexander Isak. Today, my friends, we got a ton of things to get into, as you can tell by the start of this video, so I hope you guys enjoy. Hit that like button, share your thoughts and opinions and all that good stuff, and let's get straight into things. We start things with the quick updates surrounding our efforts to sign Barcelona's young forward Marcgui, and today we have reached a verbal agreement with the player's agent over a move to sign the player this summer. Now, Gui is set to take part in the first team, and he will work under Enzo Maresca this season. So I'm excited to see what he does during pre-season when he gets the opportunity. As we should know, we have tripled the salary offer for Marcgui compared to Barcelona's 2 mil offer. He is set to earn 6 million euros a year, which is crazy. And I feel like when you're offering this amount of money for a young talent like this, you're basically putting your money where your mouth is. And I think this is giving a strong sign of intent that, listen, Marc, we believe in you. We think you can be a top forward in the future, and we want you to learn with the squads right now. And I think that is the best thing to do. Now, it doesn't seem like we'll end up as suits to sign other strikers. It seems like Marc most likely will be the third choice striker this season, but I feel like as long as he feels like he's getting substantial minutes off the bench in the Conference League, he will feel he has a strong possibility to make something happen here, because this is a player that has big ambitions for himself, that really believes in himself and has that talent, has the finishing prowess, and I do think he could be a smart addition for the future. Now, I'm not going to act like I'm an absolute expert on him. I respect his game, understand how he plays, his profile, and what he can bring for us with his aerial play, his height. He's one of those strikers that likes to back into his defender. He likes the physical part of the game, and I think when you look at his age, I mean, this guy don't look like an 18-year-old. He looks like he's mid-20s already. So I think that physically, he should be ready to play in the Premier League. And I guess right now, we just get ready now for Barcelona to accept the offer, and things should be finalized pretty soon, with the player expected to sign a long-term deal believed to be over 6 years. So my friends, later today, I'm going to be releasing a player reaction video to give you guys an even more in-depth take on Marcgui. So how do you guys find the news? Share your thoughts and opinions. And now for the second story, we discuss the quick updates surrounding kits for next season. As we are now getting closer to the July launch for our new home season kit, we are now getting stronger indications and looks behind how it is set to look like, and courtesy of Footy Headlines, the website that constantly leaks all the kits way in advance. As you guys can see, we are going for more of a striking wave pattern on our kits. Now, the reason for these bold prints and graphics is because essentially it makes it harder for people to replicate these kits and for them to be sold on the black market. So this is why we constantly keep seeing these unique patterns and designs on the kits. In my opinion, I think this is quite nice. I think it's a bit fun, to be fair with you. I like the color scheme. It's a bit unusual, like the turquoise, the orange, the blue. And I do think from a distance, the players should look quite nice in the kit. And I think it's one of those ones where maybe on screen you might not like it, but in person, up close, it might grow on you. For myself, this is definitely a must cop. I think this is quite stylish in my opinion. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the team in this. I think the kit's kind of cool. I'll keep things absolutely real with you. I've always liked the 3D effects, and I'm really liking the new thing we're doing with the club badge. We're making it kind of holographic. I think that's a very nice touch. But on top of that, my friends, we are getting more leaks now behind what the third kit should look like for next season. Again, courtesy of Footy Headlines. And immediately, the most striking thing about the third kit is the Nike logo design, which is set to be more vertical for next season. Now, that's a bit cool, this like double Nike tick thing going on. As we can see with the color scheme, magenta, electric yellow, and it's black with the 3D graphic effects put on top too. And I think this looks quite nice, especially with like the little like magenta bands around the sleeves. I think that's a nice touch, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm loving the third kit, I'm liking the second kit, and I'm really loving the first kit too. And I think they're kind of like funky. I'm not gonna lie with you. I think this is quite a vibe. This is quite a look. But my friends, these are only my opinions. Share yours below. How are you feeling about next season's kits? And now we discuss the massive story that dropped this afternoon, courtesy of the Daily Mail. And they report that we have made inquiries for Alexander Isak. Now, behind the scenes, rumours to suggest that we had planned to potentially hold some talks with Newcastle over the availability of an Isak, and the Daily Mail reports that currently we are having conversations with Newcastle to see how a move could be engineered. Now, the report mentions that we could go into these talks knowing that Isak could cost more than what we spent to buy Moises Caicedo, who came in for £150 million, way above his market price. This guy should have been bought for around 80 million. I don't think we have that type of money, especially after we fumbled signing Michael Olise, and I know I'm still a bit hurt by it. I'll keep things absolutely real with you guys. Some may be like, Nini, come on, the finances aren't there, get over it, stop crying. But I'm sorry, when people talk about ambition, and when people talk about having high expectations for the club, this is the reality of what a high expectation and grand ambition is. Securing a deal to sign Olise and not being put off by his wage amounts, because the reports mentioned that we did not feel that his wage packet reflected what he's offered in the game right now, which I find absolutely shocking in my opinion. But I don't know. Let's not talk about Olise. We're here to continue talking about Alexander Isak. And essentially, with Isak's 25 goals in the Premier League last season, Newcastle believe that he is now worth double his current market valuation of £63 million. Can we entertain breaking yet again another British transfer record for Isak? Boy, let's just get onto these reports here before I start losing my mind. But regardless, my friends, Newcastle, as we know, they need to sell before they can buy. Now, in the meantime, if you're hoping to sell the young, exciting winger in Minter, who had a great successful loan with Feyenoord last season, and they believe that he should be sold before the end of this month, as the player has agreed personal terms with an unknown club that we don't know right now. And they believe that once he is sold, they'll be pretty fine when it comes to meeting profit and sustainability rules. But in the meantime, of course, the deadline will be on the 30th of June. There is still some pressure for Newcastle to get some sales now, because they're looking to reinvest back in their team. They're looking to sign a right-sided centre-back. They're looking to sign a goalkeeper, a right winger, plus other additions as well too. In the meantime though, Newcastle aren't necessarily going to be affected by profit and sustainability compared to maybe other clubs. They're fine, and they're bringing in deals at the moment. They've recently signed a lucrative deal with Adidas, and over the past few years, they're increasing their club revenue by 39% each year. But the reality is, after all the investment they have from their ownership, they don't bring in enough revenue to justify pumping more money into the club to start having more ambitious transfer windows. So the question then becomes, if they were to sell maybe a Bruno Guimaraes or an Alexander Isak, even though they don't have to right now, their finances aren't techie like that, but if they did sell them, their sales would allow them to reinvest into signing more ambitious players and really strengthening the overall squad. Getting back to Isak though, currently his contract expires in 2028. He's on 120,000 a week as well too, and I just feel like with the finances involved in this deal, I think it's pretty impossible. But let's discuss hypotheticals for the sake of this video, yeah, because I don't like being just like an unnecessary Debbie Downer and realist. We all know this might not happen, but the fact that this news story is public and it is a thing, this isn't made up reports. There is something concrete behind this, so I feel like we should try to investigate why we'd be attempting a move for Isak, considering things like our wage structure and our failed efforts to sign Osimhen and Michael Olise. Now, my first thought is, it's pretty funny that this news is public, and I think immediately the tactic could be to unsettle Isak, who is currently away on holiday at the moment. Now, Newcastle feel pretty confident that Isak will agree to signing a new contract extension, but in the meantime, they've missed out on Champions League football, and it could be a massive tall order for Newcastle to get back to securing Champions League for next season. With top players like Bruno and Isak, they won't be there forever, wasting all their efforts for Newcastle to continue to miss out on silverware and to continue to miss out on European football. Players of this level want to play at the highest level. Bruno once said a few seasons back that he believes Newcastle can win the league. He believes his long-term future is here, but reality now, 2 years in, is that Bruno could even be open to a move if the right offer comes in. And I think to myself, could Isak decide, you know what, I'm more likely to get Champions League and greater success, and I'm more likely to enjoy my life in London if I actually hear what the offer is from Chelsea Football Club. Who knows? But regardless if Isak even expressed interest for the sake of this story, do we have the finances for this deal? This is the reality. I think it's pretty shocking that we didn't tie down a deal for Olise. 220,000 a week for a top player like himself. I don't think that's terrible money. I don't think that's awful. Yes, he'd earn more than maybe Enzo. He'd earn more than Caicedo. But this is Olise, who is said to be one of the best wingers in the world. And top clubs sign the best players, in my opinion. But there is another hypothetical to add to this, and that's the fact that we have many attractive players that maybe could be used as makeshifts in these deals. As we're noticing, they're not football clubs that have to oblige by profit and sustainability rules. We are seeing more player exchange deals than we ever typically tend to see at this level of the game. And with Newcastle's demands for a right winger, a right centre-back and a striker, the three players that come to mind, Marcgui, Trevor Chalobah and Armando Broja. And what I find interesting is that the Athletic reported like 1 or 2 days ago that Newcastle have turned their attention to Marcgui. Now we know that Newcastle made an ambitious attempt for Michael Olise, so it does show that they have grand ambitions to potentially replace Almiron at right wing. And if it's Marcgui thereafter, Marcgui could think to himself, am I more likely to boost my chances of playing for England after noticing how Anthony Gordon has found success at Newcastle by going to Newcastle, playing week in, week out, knowing the fact that from next season onwards, Esteval Willian, the prize future star of the football club, comes in, and yet again, I become in the back of everyone's mind. How long could Marcgui entertain being seen as second choice at this football club? He is a very ambitious kid, and Newcastle could satisfy him with the footballer minutes he needs. Who knows if you throw in a Trevor Chalobah? Newcastle need that long-term replacement for Fabian Schär. And Armando Broja, the player that we're constantly looking to earn big money for. Newcastle have expressed interest in him. At the moment, they are looking at Calvert-Lewin, but Broja could fit that model as well too. So what I'm essentially saying is that if the story develops more legs, we are waiting to see if Isak is interested, and on top of that, we're waiting to see if Newcastle could be open to players going there in exchange or in separate deals for us to be allowed to even entertain a move for Isak. That is the only possible way this deal could make sense. Otherwise, we are wasting our time. And if Isak, who is at the last great striker in the market, is not available, I'm at a point right now where I'm thinking, you know what? Let's forget signing a striker and let's prioritize other positions right now. But my friends, you share your thoughts and opinions on this Isak story. Yes, we all know the chances of this going through is next to nothing, but it's kind of boring to just have that conversation. So do you think there could be a small chance something could happen here? Let us know below. And my friends, for the final report, we discuss more updates surrounding Atletico Madrid's hot young striker in Omorodion, courtesy of reports coming from Damasio. And this summer in particular, when Damasio reports something, I'm locked in because I know this guy in here to play around. He's getting these stories correct this summer. Regardless though, we haven't necessarily ended our pursuits in Omorodion. We're getting more context behind the failed 40 million bids which Atletico Madrid rejected. And for Atletico to be tempted to sell their hot young striker, they would need an off-market offer of around 60 million euros, around like 51 million pounds, which is like 10 times the amount of money they originally bought Omorodion for to begin with, to actually let the player go. And I just think to myself, wow, these are mad funds, knowing the fact that Omorodion hasn't actually scored a goal since like February. Yes, he's talented. He's only just turned 20 years old. He is still a kid. Once you get past 21, I start to see he was a bit more like mature. It's his first breakout season. He showed a lot of promise. But my thing is, it's a step up to us just a bit too much in the meantime, especially when you won't be playing week in, week out. That is the difference. When you're a striker of promise this young, you want to be playing every single week. And by the time you're like 23, 24 years old, you're then showing, okay, I have top class potential. I think the best example I've seen recently from like a decade ago was Diego Costa. We signed him at 25, 26, but if we had signed him at 20, 21 years old, I don't think Costa becomes the striker he became because he just was not ready at that level. So I'm at a point right now where We're looking at crazy reports surrounding Isak, more reports surrounding Omorodion. Right now, if I had to pick something about what we do with the striker situation, you might not agree with me, but I think to myself, you know what, I'm just keeping Armando Broja at this point, because for some reason we constantly want big money for this guy. 50 mil offers, you're getting close to 40 mil offers we were turning down. Now it's become 35 million and clubs aren't offering that type of money. We keep pricing ourselves out the market for Armando Broja, which clearly means that we must rate this guy and believe in him. So if that's the case, if you're that desperate to sell, maybe just keep him if he's set to be that backup striker, knowing that the market right now is looking kind of non-existent, especially when we are kind of communicating in world football. We aren't here to pay those top wages anymore, and we'd rather sign the first gen stars for the future because the finances work out more regardless of the football ambition. I don't know. Listen, we can't afford to miss out on CL football. And if we waste time this window and it stops us getting Champions League football again for next season, I don't want to have that conversation right now, but that's a reality that we can't ignore and we can't believe may not be a thing, right? So, my friends, I don't know. Omorodion's got talent, but we can't afford to accommodate more first-gen talents, knowing that from next year, we're going to have Esteval Willian and Kendry Paz joining us. We need to have a bit of balance in the squad now. So, my friends, that's the latest news this afternoon. Share your thoughts and opinions. And on that note, I'll see you guys all soon with some more videos. Cool.